case. Correspondence, nothing particular?
It's Mr. Jeff.
No, just what I left you guys, which is the fill bylaw from town council, and the marijuana overlay district. And then I also left you, somebody had requested a list of chapter land, so I've left you
Which chapter land?
like 16, like agricultural.
61A agriculture.
Yeah, farming.
That's the thing that you wanted, Rick, you know.
The thing that used to be on Linwood Street before they turned it into housing.
On the marijuana, that's been approved, has it?
It's all approved. I just created some cheat sheets for potential developers or
Okay.
applicants, and I want you guys to look at them. We can talk about it at the next meeting, but I had it done today, so I'll give it to you. All of that is straight out of the bylaw.
Okay. That's this also?
Yep.
Zoning board agenda? Thought I had something, but I guess I don't.
Did we, with 166 Bedford,
Uh-huh.
did we ever find out what the rules are regarding the fact it's like a 100% covered lot?
Was it 100% what?
Covered lot, I mean, it's all paved, fully paved.
Yeah, I'm trying
So
to think.
it's not in accordance with our rules.
At the request of the board, I sent that concern to the zoning board of appeals, and I didn't get anything back from them, but I'd be happy to resend the email.
I just didn't know if,
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
So-
That's how that was approved through that.
I don't know, but they.
It wasn't approved, it got continued.
But I guess here's my question, is that if there's a development that doesn't need to come before us for site plan review, it's just straight building inspector, and we find out later that they do something like this, what recourse do we have to say, no, you need to go back and you need to tear up some of this and make it
Well, you'd have that right to do it.
as a planning board?
You're barking into that.
It hasn't come in front of us, it's up to now. And
Okay,
it's still, lot coverage still comes into play, but that's it.
all right. I don't know if the board has any interest in sending a letter to Marshall saying, hey, this property is clearly out of code. Is it worth doing? Because I think it's a really bad, one, it looks really bad, and two, it's a bad thing to let happen, just to let it go and not say anything.
I'm trying to recall, we were once,
So this is next to the Health Express strip
okay,
mall.
yeah,
They had tore down a house. They built a two-story building.
yes.
Didn't put front stairs on it for a few years, but the entire lot is pretty much paved.
Yeah, did that come before us? I don't think it ever came before us. Now, the property right next door did come before
Correct.
us, but that property, because I guess they consider that a single-family home or something?
What they did was they left the foundation, remember?
That's correct, that's
So,
right.
because they had the brick foundation, if you look at that building,
Yeah.
they more or less deconstructed it, but they left the foundation, so I think that's how they got around it.
Yeah, but that property was not
This is a
paved.
duplex. That's why it didn't come to us.
Yeah.
Lot coverage still comes into play.
I mean,
No, I definitely think that, I mean, that we're on the same page with Marshall, or he's on the same page with we are. I don't think there's a reason why we can't,
Yeah, that, as Bob said, nothing came before us, and it's single-family.
yeah. Well, I think that was because it's a commercial building, he wants to use the upper two levels for apartments.
right.
So that was,
I don't think it started life off as that.
No, I think
Yeah,
it
no.
started off as like.
Started off as a duplex, and in the course of, from then till now, they paved the entire parking lot, and now he's before the zoning board asking for commercial use on the first floor and apartments on the second floor.
So I guess I would move, and my feelings won't be hurt if you don't go along, but I would like to send a letter to Marshall, asking him to go check to see if it's in code in terms of lot coverage. And if not, identify what the remedy is.
That's a motion.
I'm second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye. Unanimous.
Send one to the zoning board again?
Is there anything else on the agenda that you'd like to respond to?
I'm good. Oh,
Thank you.
the ground-mounted solar array on Hancock Street, which, is that one of the farmhouses? Do we know?
I don't know the location on that. Did we change, I know we discussed this some years ago. Did we ever change our zoning bylaws to talk about a freestanding?
We did.
And I'd have to look at that, because I remember that happened in another town, and we decided to get involved with that.
That's at the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, okay,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
okay.
And that's a Columbus, I assume out back where they're gonna put the cell tower.
Right, that's probably right.
So,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, 6:05, public hearing on proposed zoning bylaw changes. Town of Abington will hold a public hearing pursuant to GLC 40A5 on April 1st, 2019, at 6:05 PM at the Abington Town Hall, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, Massachusetts. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide interested parties with an opportunity to comment on the following proposed amendments to the Town of Abington zoning bylaws submitted by a petitioner. To amend the table of use regulations in section 17521 PF, the Abington zoning bylaw revising portions of the column entitled MUPPD, Multiple Use Planning Development District, for the following: 175-21D, 2, 175-21F3, 175-21E7, 175-21G2, 175-21G3, 175-21G4, 175-21G5, 175-21G6, 175-21H2, 175-21H5, and 175-21H7. Copies of the proposed zoning amendment and supporting materials are available for review at the Town Clerk's Office of the Planning Department at Abington Town Hall during business hours. Any person interested or wishing to comment on the proposed amendment should appear at the time and place noted above, or submit written comments at least 1 week in advance of the public hearing. Wayne P. Smith, Chairman, March 18th and March 25th, Brockton Enterprise. Does the board have any comments?
Considering we're in the middle of doing our master plan, I don't think it's wise to start monkeying and tinkering around with zoning again. I made the same point last year. I'll make it again this year. We know we have to do a major overhaul of all of our zoning regs. I don't think this piecemeal approach is smart. And I certainly have a couple concerns that are in here, such as apparently we're going to broaden the marijuana dispensary overlay district to include this area. So I'm not saying that all these don't make sense, but when we're in the middle of doing our master plan and we need to do all of our zoning regs, why can't we just do it all at once next year or something?
Any other comment?
No, I agree with Rick. I think, you know, we're having Dan Crane and we're having Collins School people look at the master plan. I think we should do this in a comprehensive way, a systematic way. I mean, and I understand the intent of this, is to, get more uses at the site. But it would be nice to have all these proposed zoning changes in one package with the updated master plan. So I agree with Rick that we should postpone action on doing this until we get all the recommendations in place for the master plan. And, including zoning changes.
Can we just clarify whether we're putting this forward or whether it's a citizen's petition?
It's by petition.
By petition, okay.
So it will definitely be on the warrant, whether or not we approve it or we don't approve it. In fact, this land originally, I'm sorry, it's the other land that we had another situation. Is there anyone here speaking on that tonight? Yes, Sean. Please.
Sean Riley, 500 Washington Street. Peter Fiore is also there with me also, as an owner of land in the Muppet District and other businesses in Abington. This was before you last year when we had some updates to the zoning bylaw, but just by an omission in the public notice, this couldn't go forward to town meeting. I think you probably saw my cover letter. So this is the exact same thing that was proposed last year for the Muppet. We did actually change the setback regulations through town meeting and through the public hearing process last year, because Peter was the first developer really that proposed anything up in that Muppet district. And just so we're clear, there's only two locations where the Muppet district exists. The northern side of Chestnut Street between Hancock and North Quincy, which is currently pretty much forest land for the most part. There are a couple of residential buildings near the pond. And then the other part is the northeast, the far northeast corner of town, kind of where Coal Tar is, on the east side of Adams Street, and into the air base, but the air base really kind of trumps zoning. So those two limited areas. So the problem was, Peter wanted to put in kind of that low-impact commercial warehouse, multiple buildings for contractors, whether it be landscapers, carpenters, could be a small business that just needs some space to run a computer operation. But there's absolutely nothing, no use is allowed under the current bylaw, under the Muppet bylaw, unless you're a church or a farm or a daycare. Everything else has to go through zoning approval just to operate a business on Chestnut Street or on the east side of Adams Street, which creates obviously difficulties for someone who's trying to develop the property. Because as we first went through, people say, well, what are you going to have in there? Like, well, we don't know yet. We have to get a zoning approval. And then they said, well, what kind of business are you going to have? Well, we can't even advertise for tenants because we don't know what the town will allow. So we had to go to the zoning board 2 or 3 times, first to allow the planned commercial development to be approved. That was one permit. Then we went back through your board and the zoning board to get a list of typical tenants that we would like to have there get approved, meaning, as I said, carpenters and some, basically low-impact users that would be in your typical, small industrial type of building complex. I do know of another property owner who was interested in doing something very similar, and I warned him. I said, you're not going to get any mortgage financing because you can't go to a bank right now and tell them what uses are there. You don't have any legal use for your property other than farming it or having a daycare or a church. I said, so it's going to be hard to even get leases signed for your bank application because the tenants don't know if they're legally allowed to be in there unless they go through a separate hearing process for every parcel of land in the Muppet District. So the thought was to update the Muppet use chart and to try to, with the board's discussion, I mean, this is just our proposal, but we'd love your input. Some of the things that we've listed that are either changing from not allowed to special permit or from special permit to allowed as of right, we thought are kind of matter of fact, low impact, makes sense, okay, type of uses that will be in those 2 distinct parts of town, which are pretty isolated parts of town. The second page in the handout gives you a consolidated look at those items that are changing. In pages 3 through 6 is a reference of the entire use chart that shows you where those things all appear. I just showed it to you 2 different ways because some people like to see it in each of those different formats. But like, for example, just business or financial professional offices. Right now, you're not allowed to open an office in those areas unless you go to the zoning board or the planning board to get a special permit. I think in the Muppet District, special permit uses go through the planning board, variances have to go through the zoning board, which makes it even further complicated. You know, we put in veterinary establishments. I don't have a veterinarian client, but probably be a good place to put a veterinarian clinic is out in the outskirts of town. The things under section G, printing, binding, publishing, related arts and trade, that'd be a typical copy center or a business that, you know, a print center that they have. I know they have one in the Hingham Industrial Park. Bottling of beverages came up more like if you were going to have a microbrewery like we have in Abington. It doesn't kind of fit in anywhere, but they previously, when they got their permits, they had to get a bottling of beverages type of permit. Plumbing, electrical, carpentry shops. That's kind of the most obvious one, that most of the type of tenants or users or owners of these buildings are tradesmen. They need a place to park their truck, put their, you know, store their sheetrock, store their PVC piping, park the Bobcat overnight. That's the type of thing that, you know, would be most obvious, but we can't allow that without getting a zoning permit first. Where I'm at, wholesale business, trucking, I didn't do trucking, no. Computer technology, again, low impact, it'd be some people in a building with computers. Overlot storage under H2 of transport vehicles, and overlot storage of goods and materials in connection with commercial use. That basically encompasses landscapers. There are a number of landscapers in this town of Abington that would like to keep their business in Abington, but they're looking for secure locations where they can park their vehicles overnight and have their stockpile of whatever it might be, gravel or loam or, you know, railroad ties out back, somewhere where it's secure. And if you recall from Peter's project, this is designed just for that type, where it's gated access, the security cameras are perfect for, and we know one or two landscapers have already approached him saying, we'd like to move in here. And then the registered marijuana dispensary, again, be glad to hear your feedback, but we know that that is something that the town has approved, and if you think it'd be a good idea to put it, again, in the outskirts of town, it's proposed. If there's a high objection to that, I don't, you know, I'm not in the marijuana business, so I'm not going to take offense to that. But I think it's something that does make sense to at least allow some of the business development in the next 2 or 3 years up there. To say don't do anything means nothing gets done unless you go through that public hearing process, which I think is going to really push people away. The master plan may very well incorporate these proposed changes, or they may tweak them even further at that time. I think this is kind of little harm but a lot of benefit to get us through the next couple of years until we do get a master plan. So I would hope that the board would recommend approval. When we get to town meeting, you have to present your report as to whether you support it or suggest any amendments. And again, I'm not opposed to any amendments, but I want to get this on the table so that Mr. Fiore and others could invest in the town and get some businesses in those parts of town.
Any other comments? To carry on that, I do realize this was supposed to be on the warrant last year, and for one reason or another, it got on there, but it wasn't posted properly, so it couldn't be voted on. I realize that if we go another, if we don't do anything with this year, it's put off another year, and I would venture to guess it'd probably be 2 years before the new zoning bylaws come on under review for us, because we're also going to have the zoning bylaws reviewed also, and there's something in the warrant to have that done at this year. So I just think we're pushing this down the road at least 2 years, so that nothing can be done with that property. And I would suggest that this will be before the town meeting. So whether and as happened before in the past, sometime we've made a recommendation and the town hasn't listened to us and have chosen to do something different. That could happen at this town meeting, and I think it might be more advisable for us maybe to have even 3 options. But one option would be, if there's something in here, such as the marijuana, that we're, as a planning board, totally opposed to, if we are, and I'm not sure we are or we aren't, we could have that in our recommendation and let this go through for 2 years, which would be my personal feelings at this moment. But if there's something on, because I don't know what's going to happen at town meeting. So I'd rather have this the way we would like to have it, so that if someone comes and makes, and wants this motion to go through just the way it is, we should have a position on, without, in other words, to deduct a couple of items that we disagree with on here, if we do. That's my feelings on it.
Well, there's two things I'm looking at. One is, it seems by the very definition of being a multiple-use district, that all the things that are being proposed to change should have been on there to begin with. I'm not sure why it's a multiple, it sounds more like a limited-use district than anything else. But what I'm saying is that the changes proposed, looked through them all, separate from the planning, from the master planning process that's going on, but just looking at that as it's being the outskirts of town, which is kind of put out there as is the most least desirable place to develop those chunks of land that we have left out there on the other side of Hancock Street and the other side of by Coal Tar. That just by the very nature of where they are, what they are, and filled with rock and all sorts of different problems, that it's already challenged to be developed. I'm in favor of, I'm not really sure why our definitions are so strict on what's allowed in there, what's not allowed in there. So I guess there may be a couple of things I may have some comments about, but more or less I support the changes that are being proposed just because it is a multiple use and it seems like that's where it should be going to. It would be a lot different for me if it was if it was a large piece of property somewhere in the middle of town that could if it was a large enough body of if large enough area of Abington was zoned in the Muppet district, then whatever changes we made here would be a massive sweep that we'd have to live with for years if we allowed all these businesses in. But it's such a limited small areas. We're not talking about highway commercial, changing those uses where it's very dense. We have to concern ourselves about parking much greater than anything else. That I think even in, I guess I agree with putting it in now, letting this go forward, or go forward with our comments on it.
Yeah, the thing that really bothers me over there is that we originally set this up with an idea of having certain types of businesses go in there. And then when we took a closer look at the property and everything else, with all the ledge and everything else that's up there, it looked like a lot of this, it wasn't practical. And one of the sad things, in my estimation, is that what we ended up doing was giving variances for a house here and a house there, and the next thing you know, we even haven't got a district anymore, which goes up quite a way from Hancock Street as it is right now. Bob, any comments?
No, I'm on board with this.
Are there some,
We got to do these changes last year and it got messed up.
are there some things in here, like Rick, that you mentioned that we should discuss rather than have a,
I mean, some of it to me is, I feel like we're picking winners and losers a little bit. We're gonna allow some by right, we're not gonna allow others, and what's the justification between picking some of them and not picking some of them?
that's sort of what zoning is all about to begin with, so.
Yeah, but I mean, why are we allowing manufacturing by right, but we can't have a fraternal organization?
Mhm.
What's the impact there? I mean, who's deciding that? I mean, if
Well, I
we're
guess
gonna
we
make
are.
these changes, I prefer it's all special permit versus all by right. Because,
The problem with that, as it was explained earlier by Attorney Riley, that all these things take time. And when someone decides that they want to build something, and it puts them off a year or 2 years, usually the person says, hey, I'm not waiting a year or 2 years to get a project in the ground and get completed. So I'm just not, it's one thing if there are existing buildings already there, but it's another thing when they're being built. And so it just doesn't happen, because you go somewhere else.
yeah, so I mean, yeah.
Could I also add? just a
Yes.
comment? The rest of the bylaw doesn't change, because so you have to have 10 acres of property and 200 feet of frontage. So this is intended to kind of develop these areas in pretty large chunks. And there isn't a lot of area really to develop up there. Especially up in the coal tower area, the train tracks go right through the thing. So there's not a lot of area on this side of the track, and on the other side, as it says, mostly air-based land. On Chestnut Street, Peter's property is, what, how many acres? 26 acres. That's already kind of laid out and planned. To the east of him is pretty much the high tension wires in the pond. To the west is, mostly wetlands and some additional, property that the apartment people own, but they don't develop because of the wetlands. So I don't see that you're going to get a lot of, big development, but it is going to be kind of organized, multiple use planned development, although, as Jeff said, there aren't any multiple uses in the chart that are available to do it. So, again, I hope you support it. The economy's good, people are ready to invest, but I don't know what things are going to be.
This could be more or less something to do with our permitting, or how we do a board review. But recently, I've had some experiences going through Rockland, and you have to spend so much money up front. They won't even look at anything preliminarily, so you have to make the full effort of investing thousands of dollars to do a site plan just to go before them to find out, do we even like the project? They won't even look at it. And it's really tough when you have to put that kind of money forward at the beginning. And actually, I kind of questioned my client if they did, unless they were really looking to spend huge money. But I'd be concerned with anybody who would spend money like that. But that's been my problem with Rockland, they're a tough town to get through.
Is there something on here that definitely is something that we don't want to have a yes on, that should be a special permit or should be a no?
And the funny thing with the printing, binding, publishing, and related arts, New England art went out of business. It seems to be like a dying industry. I mean, I suppose if someone wanted to come in here and do something, but I really don't see any heavy demand for it. Bottling of beverages ties in with the microbreweries.
Well, there's one just before us on 123 that obviously they needed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the manufacturing, we shouldn't be in the business of discouraging manufacturing in this town.
I think the only one that I guess for discussion is open lot storage of transport vehicles and trailers. The other ones I think are pretty low impact, whether it's special permit.
Well, if they're registered, are they considered open lot storage? Open lot?
Well, open lot storage, well, I guess it's kind of a broad,
It's part of the problem.
it's broad.
I'm sorry, if you have a business, let's say you have vans, for whatever reason, you shuttle dry cleaning services around, and so you park your vans on your property overnight when you go home, most people won't blink at that, but if your business is, a small contractor or landscaper that has a trailer, and he parks that there at night, well, the zoning building inspector will look at that and say, well, that's a trailer, it's an open lot storage of a trailer, I can't let you park that there. So that's one of the reasons why in this area up on Chestnut Street, in the woods, this would be the perfect place for that.
But I think to me, I know that's what I picked up on when you were talking about it. To me, a trailer with equipment on it is an open lot storage. It's a registered trailer that the person brings back and forth basically 9 months of the year.
Yeah, right under that, in section H3, is open lot storage of trucks and trailers used for temporary storage. We did change that. Again, this is one of the things that we'll have to eventually update, because a trailer, what is a trailer? Is a trailer an 18-wheelers, the thing that the truck pulls, or is a trailer a flatbed trailer that you carry your backhoe or your whatever?
Well, I think the piece of property down off Quincy Street, down the end of Chestnut Street, the giant land that's just gone nuts.
The Insel Pro.
Yeah, that whole
Yes.
thing. That's what we're looking not to have.
Right.
And that is, I mean, and again, with all of the trails, it's just a matter whether it's an eyesore or whether it's not an eyesore. But that's the thing we don't want. I mean, that's what I consider open storage trailers of what they've got out
And
there.
are they registered?
No, just the aerial shots.
You go out back, there's tons of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether they're registered or unregistered, I don't know.
My concern with the open lot storage of transport vehicles and trailers, down in West Bridgewater, right off of 24, this is down the part of West Bridgewater, Brockton ties in.
You can see it from Route 24.
Yeah, you can see it. It's
Yeah.
that huge storage lot of truck trailers. Now, Attorney Riley would say this is off of Chestnut Street. If we allowed this, people wouldn't see it. That, to me, is a waste of space. You know, it's right off, it's a prime piece of land off of 24. And I suppose you gotta put those things someplace, but I think that's just a waste of, you know, to me, it's just a waste of space.
And additionally, the text of the Muppet District requires landscaping and architectural elements of the proposed uses shall include features to minimize visual impacts on surrounding lands. So typically what that means is screening. And if something's being proposed that you think would not look nice as you drove by, then the planning board, basically as part of site plan review, can say, we need you to keep this buffer here. I always liken it to like Cape Cod. If you drive down Cape Cod, like on Route 132, the highway department's down there, but all you see is a driveway and a sign and a bunch of evergreens. It's all hidden off the road. And we have a blank slate up there where we can do, that's what actually Peter has designed. Is you can't see his buildings off the road.
So if a landscaper had a trailer to move his equipment, would he be able to park there?
That was my question, and I don't, to me, in the old, I know we have had in our bylaws at one point, registered and unregistered, having different, so that might be something that could be inserted in here now as registered trailers as compared.
I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want to see a bunch of storage containers.
Right.
out there, or, you know, something crazy, which you're kind of open to.
Why would we want laboratories or research facilities?
Why wouldn't you?
That's what I mean. It's just, I don't understand why we wouldn't want that. Why would we want a radio or television studio?
And I don't know whether it's for antennas or what the situation is. I do not know.
There's another one for
But
antenna.
there again, we had this last year. If we think we should change it and they should be allowed, then we should change it.
Yeah, I think we're picking and choosing winners. So, I mean, if we're gonna blow this open, let's blow it open and just, you know, there's no reason why we should,
It has
we
to
would
be close.
choose, you know, medical offices, but we wouldn't want a science laboratory.
I think the reason for that, to some degree, was the fact of traffic and retail-type customers. Of course, you know, as was just mentioned about veterinarian, who's going to bring the animals in, I'm sure it's going to be, you know, people, but maybe, I think that's one of the things that's taken into consideration. And I don't know, every single one has to be looked at.
What I remember of this is that this chart was developed when nobody was doing anything with the property, nobody showed any interest. And we think we just had a dream of that somebody with huge money would do something, I don't know. I don't think we saw anything,
Right, and
that property.
to answer Rick's question, I didn't change laboratories or scientific research facilities because it already is a special permit. And knowing what I know about other towns and people have proposed facilities, like Boston University wanted to have it, and the neighbors were very concerned about what the research.
What kind of chemicals they had in the building, right?
Right, and they were
And the
going
bio
to use,
stuff.
they were going to use, bio research and all. So a special permit required right now, be a public hearing. I didn't change that because I thought that'd be appropriate. Just one point though, as far as town meeting procedure would go, because it's a zoning article, I don't think we can go beyond what's proposed right now. You guys can't add anything, but you can subtract. We have to look at the scope of what's proposed.
So if we said registered trailers, that would be adding something at this
You
point?
already added that last year, actually, you put in the word registered. So that's all set. But like, for Rick's example, if you wanted to say, let's allow radio towers, I don't think you can do that because you didn't advertise that we were going to change the radio tower thing tonight. Okay? So you can look at everything that has been proposed and say, I'm fine with all of these, whatever they are, 8 or 9 things, or you can say, maybe, I didn't count, Or you could say, take this one off the list, we recommend all but this one. How would you feel? I hope you support all of them, but I think that's where you have to limit your review.
So we can subtract, not add.
Please?
We can subtract, not add.
Oh, we can make our recommendation, right. We can say that open lot storage of transport vehicles remain at no, or we can do things like that.
Or it could be a special permit, because that'd be less
That's
than,
more what I was thinking.
right.
Well, going back to what Rick and I were talking about earlier, as far as waiting for the master plan to be done. I mean, after hearing these arguments tonight, I can understand why we probably want to go forward with this, but we still have to put this in context of the redoing of the master plan. So whatever adjustments we make to the zoning and town meeting floor is still going to be factored into when we do the master plan, you know. We'll just have to factor these changes that we make in there, you know, the total product for the master plan. And make people aware of that, you know, in case someone says, well, how come you guys are supporting this when you're doing the master plan? And we need to be able to explain why we're supporting this on town meeting floor, and we have to explain the thought process that went into, and I'm not saying that we are going to agree to support this tonight, but if we do, we need to explain our thought process as to how we came to do this, because people are looking to us and saying, well, you guys are really the people that we need to, you know, to advise us on this.
I guess we're back to square one. And I don't know what the vote is right now, but I would rather than say the thing goes forward exactly the way it is. If we have some things we want to have eliminated from there, we should have the discussion now, rather than on town floor.
Do you want to go through each item, or just?
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's look at the changes, the yeses.
All right, so if we start with D, business, financial, professional offices other than those 17521D. Do you want to have a yes there or something else? Leave it at SP or what? Is there any problem with that?
I don't know what problem it is.
No. So the next one is 3, offices and clinics.
I mean, just understand, we're talking outpatient, so there's going to be
Oh, there's people, yeah.
there's going to be a high volume of people in and out.
Right,
so-
maybe that's something you'd want to leave at SP.
To look at the traffic.
Well, I think there's a demand for medical services. If you look, I just did the
But
economic.
usually they're big, and I don't think we have any,
No,
no.
Look at the medical offices that are along 18, for example.
Right.
There's a lot of, like Dr. Marquetto and stuff
Yeah.
like that. There's a lot of small, that clinic that just opened up next to her office, for example.
So is that something you want to have a yes or no, or something different?
It's the largest employment sector in the region. It supports employment. I would say have it as a yes, because that does, it's job creation.
Anyone else, any comments on that?
As long as we're aware, we're talking either a one-person chiropractor, or we're talking, 30-person South Shore Hospital outpost. I mean, there could be anything in between.
Yeah.
These are all high-paying, skilled jobs.
It's
Something
going
we
to be a
should encourage.
30-person outpost that's going to come in front of us anyhow.
So we leave it the way it is? Is that the consensus?
No, I say special permit, but
You want a special permit on
that's my
3?
preference, but I don't have the support, so.
All of these would require site plan review because they're commercial.
Right. So is that what you want, special permit, everybody? Or not?
No, I'm a yes.
You want,
No, I guess I'd support yes, too.
I want a yes. Bob?
I'm fine with yes.
Okay, so you got 3 saying yes.
so you want a yes there? Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Leave it the way it is? Retail business, veterinary establishment, kennel and so forth?
Is there a reason why this one is separated from all the other retail businesses?
Page 2, I just put what was changed only. No, veterinarian, usually, they have a little boarding clinic, they make noise. So I figured if it was gonna be a new veterinarian or a new clinic in town for dogs, why not put it on the outskirts of town? I don't know of anyone that's looking to come to Abington, but
I don't know why we wouldn't include a tattoo parlor,
Yeah, well, as we,
but we can't because we're not proposing this, so I just.
so do you want to leave that as an SP, or do you want to put a no there?
SP.
It's fine.
That's the SP.
SP, everybody? All right. The printing, binding, publishing, related arts and trade, bottling of beverages,
My concern isn't the bottling, it's the transport in and out. If it's a big enough facility, how many
Yeah, I mean, if
vehicle
it's
trips
an
are
L
we
knife,
talking
but I don't
about?
think you're gonna see an L knife here, but you never know.
But I would prefer SP so we can at least look at the traffic report.
so is that what you all want? You want SP on that one? SP instead of no, or yes, rather? So this will come on the floor as a yes, and we'll make an amendment to have it at SP, okay? Plumbing, electrical, carpentry, yes. Place for manufacturing, assembly of goods provided, so forth. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Wholesale business and storage of a roofed structure.
Now, when they say wholesale business, are they talking customers can come to the site and purchase things?
Yeah, look, I would think so, or it's wholesale, but it's not retail, as compared, I mean,
Like BJ's is wholesale, but it's also retail. So where would a BJ's fall under?
I would say, to me, BJ's is wholesale and retail.
you may need permits for both, correct? You may need the wholesale permit and the retail permit.
Right.
We're more concerned with storage and roof structure, but unfortunately, it's defined this way.
But it's roofed as compared to being open lot storage.
If it's gonna be a big Cape Cod lumber or something like that, it's gonna come in front of us anyhow.
It's funny
Site
though,
plan.
with job sectors, okay, I'm a planner, they break down employment by wholesale and retail. There's two separate things. And like, for example, in Brockton, they are just doing a new wholesale place where the DPW offices used to be. I was just talking to the city planner, strictly wholesale. There's not gonna be any retail allowed. I think if we look at this as a wholesale operation where businesses would come and buy stuff as opposed to allowing retail, there's gonna be less traffic as opposed to a retail operation. So a wholesale business would fit more into this area than a retail business.
Right, and the storage,
Yeah,
it is.
you just have to explain to people that there's two entirely different things, wholesale versus retail.
Leave it as yes.
Leave it at yes. Computer technology, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Open lot storage of transport vehicles and trailers.
No special permit.
Special event, is that all right with everybody?
Yes.
And open lot storage of goods and materials used in connection with a commercial or industrial use.
Is this talking giant mulch piles?
Talking what?
Giant mulch piles?
I didn't get you.
You know how in 18 we have giant mulch piles?
Oh, right, yep.
Landscaping products and
I
blocks,
mean, that's a
rocks.
good question, and I know where we've had open lot storage of mulch that's caused some serious damage to people and because it got two lots up north of Boston. So,
I'm also thinking, what's the supply place off Rockland, off Industrial Parkway?
right, I would see no problem with a special permit. I mean, obviously, if someone wants to put in 40 yards, I have no problem with that. When they want to put in 200 or 300 yards, I have another problem. And it would give you some jurisdiction over that. So make that special permit. Would that be right for everybody? And registered marijuana dispensary.
doesn't seem to make any
So-
sense.
It's going to bring a lot of retail people, so,
It already applies to the Muppet District off 58, correct?
yes.
We already have the overlay, so this really would just change the rule for Chestnut.
Is it?
I believe, right now, the marijuana district is the technology business district, if I'm correct.
But it's not across the street.
The western
correct.
side of
Correct.
58 and the eastern side of, where the old drive-in was,
Yep.
basically, in that general area, and where Pierce Trucking is. So this would allow it on the eastern side of Route 58 or on Chestnut Street
For retail, I don't,
So
by special permit.
is it just a dispensary, or would also be other associated uses, cultivation, transportation?
I think the town only allows special, dispensary, not the cultivation, right?
No, we allowed everything.
But where's the cultivation?
Didn't we?
because I'm
someone
thinking
says
that there's a place,
dispensary,
it's cultivation.
Yeah, this board would grant the special permit, so everything on this chart, on the Muppet, it's a special permit, is in the order.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, I'd be thinking more of the trailers that are growing stock would be something like a place with a, yeah, a place where it would be
Cultivated.
cultivated. Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a whole debate when we do that.
So, do you want to leave that a no?
I'm okay with special permit, I just want to make sure that it covers all of the uses.
I'm okay with a special permit.
Yeah, the product manufacturer, retailer, treatment center, delivery only.
Special permit, that's all right then?
Yeah.
All right, on the whole works, what, is that what the vote could be taken?
I would make the motion.
Make that
to-
motion with the changes?
To accept this with the amendments that we've made tonight. That would be our recommendation. That would
Yes.
be our recommendation.
So this original motion will go forward, and then I will tell the public that we'd like to amend it. Any further discussion?
Just so I'm clear, so it's G3, bottling beverages, H2 and H5 would be special permit.
Yeah, there's 3 items, right?
Right.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? No. One opposed. All right. Could do another one. Is that it? Is that it for tonight? Request for bringing in fill at 167 Randolph Street continued. Public hearing? Yes, sir.
Ms. Brooks had a chance to stop at my property last time, and we had a lot of snow in it. And you had a chance to stop by again? Was it,
Yeah,
was you?
no, yeah, I haven't gone up there again, but I did see the area before, and
Okay.
but what we really need is to have the contour lines or something, so we know, we just don't know where the water's gonna end up, and that's my problem.
Yeah, no, I did hire, Carl Garvey.
Yeah?
He's very busy at the moment, so he asked me for 4 weeks, so he'll be coming to my property next week
Uh-huh,
to do the contour lines.
okay.
So you want to continue this?
You want to continue
Yeah,
this
no.
until,
I wanted, someone had stopped by to take a look, but no one
Yeah, well-
stopped by. I'd like to continue then.
Can I just add to that, it's going to do the contour lines?
Yeah,
Can
topographic.
we come up with some kind of a grading plan? So you're not, whether you're gonna put a swale in there, so you're not dumping it on the neighbors along with the contours,
Yeah, no, I can,
some sort of a
grading plan and the contour line.
but Kyle can probably do that.
Okay.
And I'll make the motion to continue it for how long?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, which will be,
It's May
what is it?
6th, 6-ish.
May 6th.
May 6th, the same time?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I'll need that stuff by the filing deadline, which is April 9th or 10th or something like that. I don't know that he's going to have it done that quick.
So conceivably, this could go into June.
Yeah, he told me only
We just have to
April
know.
15 is the day that he'll be stopping on my property, so.
Oh, yeah, he won't have it done before the filing deadline.
Should go into June.
Please?
Want to put it off for 2 meetings? That
Is
gives
it okay if I
plenty
can
of
call
time?
him first and tomorrow and ask him if he can push it? 'Cause
I guess you could always come in and ask to put it off again.
I mean, talk to him if you can do
Yeah.
it, but if you can't, you could come to us and say, we want to continue this until June.
Okay, well,
So, I mean, that's what I would do.
okay. appreciate
Then it
that.
would be June 3rd, which gets into, I mean, obviously, there's, the loam's going to be sitting there and dust and everything else. But,
Carl can't get this done.
yeah, it'd behoove him to get for the next meeting. You know, then he can put the grass seed on and everything else, or change the grades and do whatever he needed to do.
Okay, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
All right. Are there any other comments from the public? No. All right, and on the motion to have it at the May meeting, say, so move.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Fine, thank you. All right. Informal discussion, proposed site plan 123 Center Avenue. Hi, can we have your name, please?
My name is Ed Cullen, I'm with Merrill Engineers and Surveyors, representing Eric Anderson here, the owner of the property in
You want to go forward with the presentation? Thank you.
So, 123 Center Ave, most of you know, piece here, and several unwanted dealerships as well. What Eric hopes to do is to make improvements throughout the site. One of the biggest improvements is a very small gap here to get through, only about 14 feet wide. What they're trying to do is discussing with the fire department to like to make a loop going around, get access to emergency vehicles and a number of just better pavement as well. I don't know if you've ever seen the place, but the parking is kind of everywhere. So by creating a defined line and marking spots, we hope to kind of put more control over the parking. And we're thinking of putting two additions to the two buildings. Buildings are brown and the additions would be blue here. In the back here, this is the Mill River up here, so we're going as far away from the river for the additions. And there will also be improvement on the existing buildings, no new buildings up on this side here. New buildings in the back. So basically, the purpose of this is one, to improve emergency access. Two, it's also to improve the runoff. This is in a water resource protection district. So what we hope to do is, one, control the quantity of runoff and improve the quality of it as well. Because as it is now, it's just gravel, so it just kind of runs off. There's no curbing on any time. But by putting curbing and putting treatments, rain gardens on the edge, we hope to treat whatever runoff does come before it gets into the river. So it's a combination of, we're trying to improve the environment, we're trying to create organization here, and we're trying to improve the safety by getting the fire department also making the fire hydrant back here as well. We definitely not too far. Eric has agreed to do that, you know, so again, we're improving the safety as well as the environment.
How many businesses currently operate on that site?
So you're adding or expanding the buildings on the, is it the south or the west edge of the property? East edge of the property?
Yes. East.
On the east, yeah.
Essentially be tearing down one of them smaller one, which is the auto body shop that's in there now.
Yep.
And then utilizing as much of that space as I could to create a new building off of what's already there.
Okay. So it sounds like you're trying to optimize the site a little bit more than it currently is and make it look a little nicer and,
It's
okay.
a lot nicer than what it is right now.
So it's going to all be repaved, and is it going to be recontoured?
There will be some grading, but overall, it's gonna stay the same, because the buildings are there, and we really can't change the styles of the building, so mainly just be repaving to control them.
I wasn't sure when I was looking at it, what was being proposed, what was existing. Um,
Brown is existing.
Well, no, like if the parking was existing, the borders were,
Well, there's no,
Curb.
like, we're showing defined lines here, there's none of that out there now. It's more of a paved, combination of pavement and gravel, and just, again,
Oh.
there's no.
There's
defined
no
lines.
marked lines.
oh, the only thing that could reason, the only thing that, but the thing that jumped out at me is that in the entire site, there's 2 handicap spots, and they're not even near each other. They're kind of one, they're both towards the front, and there's no, I was looking at an existing parking plan where there's no handicap parking. So, I mean, other than that, I didn't see anything here that jumped out at me as dramatically changing the property to such a degree that it's going to be a traffic hazard.
The reason the handicaps here, that's mainly for the restaurant. These are contractor shops back there, where there's really not a need for a handicap access.
Oh, and the auto body place is gone?
Sorry?
The auto body place is gone now, you said that?
No, it's still
It's
there.
gone.
It's there now. My intention is to either then moving into one of the newer parts of the addition. But my goal is to get rid of that building because it's just awful and utilize that space, whereas the only space that I have to do anything with better than what it is now, essentially.
I think we've been waiting for a long time for you to come before us and rationalize this. Is that the right word? Make some changes to the
Not that it
site.
matters, is that clean now? No, still an ongoing battle.
It's, honestly, it's, right now it's in a temporary state of solution, temporary solution. There's, the cost to what it would take to get to clean is very, very high. I don't, and based upon what my engineers have told me about it, they say because you're in the groundwater, GBW1, they said, and the way the soils are and everything like that, it's going to be almost impossible to get to those stands, because of how low they really are. But unless something new comes out technology-wise that makes this makes it more cost-effective for me to do it, then I would do it. But right now, to go spend over $1 million to just dig out soil and not know if I'm going to be done with it, I'd be able to justify that cost.
Makes no sense.
But it's not spreading or leaching or,
It's not spreading or anything as far as I know. It's pretty much the plume has stayed in that exact spot, which is basically in front of the big leagues. And they do quarterly sampling to monitor all that.
okay. My one thought is to maybe put some sort of traffic flow directionals somewhere, because otherwise, I'm not even sure which way
Well,
flow would
this-
go, but,
This right here is 24 foot wide, so
Yeah.
that should be two-way.
okay.
That's typical straight, so
Like, I would never thought you could go to the left of Spencer's.
that's the only way.
That's the only way
the only
now.
way.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get out back. It's been-
Not much room there, Rick.
How many years?
As long as I can.
I mean, this is just a conceptual. If you get your variances, you're still gonna have to do a site plan.
Yeah.
We want to, hopefully get some comments about that.
Does anyone on the board see anything wrong with the plan?
It's a good idea.
I think it gets more revenue, gets rid of an older building, and
Gets more tax revenue for the town, and, yeah.
give them some more money to clean up.
Yeah, and give you some money to clean up the site.
There's no drainage back there now.
No.
So it's greatly improved the site.
That's not one of the historical buildings on the site that's being torn down. Historical, small H.
No, though Spencer's is the historical
It
one.
was the original Abington textile, or one of them.
Where was the car factory?
Yeah, the left.
They made a car there once.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the cars, yeah, same building.
Okay.
So,
Guess the motion would be to recommend to the zoning board. I think it's a good idea, or however you want to word it.
Was that on a list for the zoning? Was that on a list?
That's the whole reason, most of the reason you're here, right?
For this, zoning sent us this way, it's just to put something in front of you guys to see what your thoughts are before I start to invest more money and go the next step.
I think it's certainly an improvement to the area, and certainly 2 ways in is another good thing.
So you're not on the zoning board?
No, this is
No.
just, you went to the fire department, you went to conservation, to see what their thoughts were, if this is something that they would like to see us to do. And now we're in front of you asking the same question, before I go to the next step and start going through, site plan review, going through conservation officially, going through building and all that. I just wanted to get something out in front of you guys to see what you would allow me to do.
I think your biggest hurdle is the zoning board.
One of the things that might impact with the fire department, they probably told you they probably want sprinklers in one of the buildings. I don't know what that regulation
With the intent of pulling out a bigger water line, there's a water line right that runs through there, now runs into a building, goes overhead into the building, then goes back down, and then goes out to feed those. I have to do something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not a problem.
Probably the new stuff's gonna have to be sprinkled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone will make a motion that the planning board suggests it's a good idea, and
Do we need a motion?
they need to come back before us for the building and so forth.
Or do you say, based on preliminary, we have no concerns?
That's
this time?
correct.
I was gonna say, do we even need a motion?
Do
Do we even need a motion?
I don't think we even need a motion, it's just, it's a
Consensus.
consensus of the board. If there's something in there that one of us does not think that should happen, or they shouldn't go forward with this, we should tell them at this time.
I guess we don't want you to have to go there saying they have no opinion, but I think we don't have any concerns at this time.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Yep, that's
To
fine.
notify the zoning board that
Yep,
based on preliminary sketches, we do not have any concerns at this time.
fine. That motion's made. Seconded? Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved, unanimous. Thank you. Do you have anything else to come before the meeting?
I guess we'll bring up the Ross project with the fill. Can we do that?
Which one's that?
If you go down Central Street.
Oh,
across
yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
House in the corner, and then the two he's doing out behind the houses.
It's Central Street, and now evidently there's just going to be one entrance, but I went up there the other day, and I don't know how many hundreds of yards of fill they have up there.
Probably thousands.
Yeah, so I think perhaps a letter of cease and desist, and they have to get the approval from the planning board for removal of fill.
I was also going to ask about the house next to the Exxon at 18 and 139.
Okay, we can do that afterwards, all right? So,
Yeah.
You don't know the address, it was those two Form A lots, right?
yeah.
It's right next to Rourke's,
yes,
Yeah, it's,
in between that and the house that burned down, right?
yes.
yes,
And it's obvious, I drove over there and saw it.
that was Rock's property.
Okay, so it's probably, well, I can ask the assessors.
So a motion would be in order to send a cease and desist on the bringing in of fill.
Make the motion.
Motion made. Seconded?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Go ahead, Rick, on.
I don't know if anyone had seen the front yard of that house next to Exxon. There's a lot of fill in that yard. I don't know if it amounts to 100 yards or not, but
I don't think it has as of yet, but it could. I don't know
Iron
what,
fence kind of in front of it?
there was an old barn there,
yeah.
Like the 3 or 4 truckloads of fill that's
Yeah.
there right now.
maybe 60 yards.
Further,
This is on Bedford Street?
right next to Mobile.
Okay, that was 906, so it's not.
Because they were supposed to be selling it, and actually, that's where I wanted to put the fire station, but
So if we could send them a letter saying that we noticed an amount of fill being brought in, if it reaches send them a copy of the bylaws. All right?
And something else that may be coming your way, Crossman Circle, excuse me, is currently before conservation, and it's like the house on a dog leg in the back, and I don't know how much fill they brought in, but it was a ton, and
That was the wetlands.
they filled in the wetlands, they poured a concrete slab,
Yeah.
so,
Conservation will take care of that.
yes,
Hopefully.
they are, but in case it flies back, you may get that.
Where is that located?
Crossman Circle is off of,
Crossman
what's
Circle.
that, Linwood Street?
Huh?
Huh?
Is it 40B off of Linwood Street?
Oh, okay. Right.
Augie's 40B.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can, I guess the thought, we brought up Rook with his fill on his 2 lots. I guess my question is, and I really don't know the answer to it, his subdivision up there, sure.
I live by it,
By your house.
just suck the name out of my head. Crabtree.
Extension. That's been going on since probably 2000, 2001, not complete, still holding a bond.
Yeah.
At what point do we push him to finish that project?
I thought that's
Can't
kind
believe
of,
no neighbors are complaining.
I can't either, I know that, yeah.
2000, 2001
I mean,
he started.
he
that.
can't start the new project until he
Right.
finishes that one.
But at what point, McHugh Circle, at what point is what needs to be done up there gonna be more than the monies we have as a bond? The road's gonna continue to deteriorate, and it's...
Well, and the problem with
The
it-
drainage is working properly and all.
And he doesn't care because he's still getting the interest off the property.
Right. But
And we can't,
my point is, can we push him legally to finish it? He doesn't have indefinite to finish a subdivision, which seems to be pretty much indefinite at this point.
Do you want me to ask town council and put this on for
Sure.
May?
it's been brought up before, we've talked about when's the end,
Right.
you know.
so we gave him an out because we said that when he started the other, he would, you know,
But obviously, that's not happening at the moment. And pretty obviously does what he wants with looking at the 2 lots, what he's doing now.
at least you know what the bylaw is after we send him a letter.
So you're gonna ask town council, is that right?
And put it on the agenda for May, if that's okay.
I can't believe the neighbors haven't, other than like,
Yeah, well, that's nothing, yeah. Also, the Grant's Place,
yes.
the money the town spent on that cul-de-sac.
Why did
it's
they
just- I have no idea.
Paved it?
They
I haven't
tore,
walked
they
down it.
tore it up
Beautiful.
and raised it, and they filled
Oh.
it. and, like,
Ginormous cul-de-sac that should be ranked and closed down to begin with.
but
It almost would have been cheaper for the, I don't know,
I never got to ask anybody, even my neighbors up there, why did they pave your
I
road?
have no idea. I didn't even think the road was that,
Need to be paved in town?
yeah, I was, but I,
I don't know.
Some are probably complained about the road.
It was quite an undertaking, though. They didn't just go up and pave it, they brought a lot of fill in. Yeah. I was,
Want to let give you guys heads up as far as North Quincy Street, Chestnut Street. That's about, the design is about all done on that, you know, so you should see some action on that this year.
so they'll put it out to bid, but that won't be until next year, right?
Yeah, we might see something.
Really?
To that, yeah, because it's at 100% design, which means when it's 100% design, they can put this thing out to bid, so I wouldn't be surprised. I'd have to take a look at our transportation improvement list, but last time I looked, it's pretty soon. I think we might see that this year.
Good.
Been waiting for that a long time.
Would it be possible at our next meeting to schedule some time to talk about CPA and just kind of what's coming up this year and how it fits into planning and all that sort of stuff?
Fine with me.
I don't know what's being proposed and what's being approved, so I'd like to get an update.
yeah, we can get, I can remember that, but we can get an update from the secretary as to projects that are coming on, that are still out there.
Get something printed out and have it in a meeting packet.
Yeah. But also, just in case we want to have a 10-minute discussion, just to cover ourselves.
Okay with that, Liz? Right.
As long as Attorney Riley's here, you think we'll see anything with the old New England Art Building this year?
Yeah, I know they had a meeting with fire chief, building inspector, the project manager, and the architect a week or two ago, status update. I wasn't there, so I don't know how far along they are. Once the final plans are submitted, then the fire chief and building inspector are going to send them out for consultant review. So I don't know if they're at 90% or 95%, but I think everyone's kind of itching for that to get going.
Anything new with the Veterans Place with the drainage out in the street?
I think both Mr. Egan and Larry Silver from SEA were available for your May meeting. That's May 6th.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so they'd be more than happy to come and give you an updated design ideas and all. We have not contacted the neighbors yet to let them know, get their approval. They'll be happy to see that happen.
Good.
Can I ask one other question?
No, that was it, yeah.
I have one.
That was-
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Under general
My hearing's getting better and better as days go on.
Liz and I were communicating by email. Mr. Pusateri off of Rockland Street, Pusateri Place, had the two lots, cul-de-sac, private way. And he was wanted to start putting foundations, but he needs to get the covenant released because it says no construction of buildings without the covenant being released. And I know Norwood Engineering was just out there. I haven't seen the final figure, but essentially Mr. Pusateri is going to put up a cash bond so that he can proceed. Unfortunately, we were hoping to have that all lined up tonight, to ask you guys to approve the cash bond and release the covenant. But I haven't seen the numbers yet. The concern is now we can't do anything for a month. We'll wait until the next meeting in May, unless there's a way to, if the board's willing and able to approve the release of the covenant in exchange for posting a cash bond pursuant to whatever Norwood Engineering dictates with the calculations.
A preemptive vote?
Providing that our engineers approve a set amount of money, I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know if we can take it up. It's not
Can-
it's not on our agenda.
Well, that's what I said, was under general correspondence, it was there, we requested for it to be up here, but I guess Dave didn't finish it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
I can't take a vote on something that's not pertinent.
I had to ask because it's just, everyone asks, why is this everything? And we may ask Marshall if they'll allow us to put foundations in.
He has done that in the past.
Yeah, so that's, like, there's a little foot in the door, but in any event, if you're not comfortable doing it tonight, we will.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's not on gender, and it wasn't, but, I don't think the board would have any, if Marshall wanted to know from the board, I mean, he can call me, and I would tell him that I have no problems with him putting the foundation in, after I get some approval right here.
At his own
But-
peril, obviously.
Yeah, right, at his own peril, but I can't imagine that would happen, but
No, not a problem.
is that, but I want to make sure that's okay with the board first.
That's entirely up to Marshall.
That is anyway,
Right.
but he may want to have me,
Right.
because he does that once in a while, call me, and, so that would be all right with the board or not? As long as they,
A
Yes.
private two-lot.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
right.
Yeah, it's for Mr. Pusteri's own house, so he'll do whatever Marshall requires.
So have the stuff ready for the May meeting.
We'll do.
Anything further?
No, I just wanted to let you know, I can't remember if I put it in your packet, I think I did. You were looking for the fire chief's response on Catena Way, so his answer is in there. And the marijuana stuff, if you can look that over for the May meeting, as well as the fill bylaw. If you have any suggestions on the fill bylaw, if you want to send them to me, I can get them back to town council, see if they're okay.
And that'll be in the town warrant this year?
Yes.
I
Good.
may not be here at that meeting.
May? Okay.
Not that I'm mad, I'm just throwing it out there. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I won't be.
So a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Made and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved.
We're gonna have a good speaker at the OCPC annual dinner this year. Do you know who Mike Hogan is?
Oh, yes, yeah.